Are you nosy? Me too. So stick around while I do the 28 more random questions tag, a tag for those of us with nose trouble. Hey everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Roger's Reads. So today I'm doing the 28 more questions tag, and this was created by Steve Donahue, who has an excellent channel if you haven't already checked him out. And I'll put a link to his channel below. So he claims that this is a tag for nosy people, so let's get to it. So the first question is, how old is your oldest living relative? And you know, I don't think that there's that many of us left. I have a couple of cousins that are a few years older than me, maybe 4 or 5 years older. But as for close relatives, I'm pretty much the patriarch. Now that is a scary thought. Next question. As an adult, have you ever been in a fight? You know, not as an adult and not a fist fight anyway. You know, not really a verbal fight that I can really recall. Though I have had people call me an asshole a time or two. Question 3. Have you ever been slapped in public? No, I have not. Though I did get a drink thrown in my face once, but that's another story for another time. The next question. What is the largest non-human animal you've seen in person? So that would probably be an elephant, but only at the zoo, never in the wild. Or maybe a giraffe, which isn't necessarily the largest, but is certainly the tallest. 5. Have you ever had serious surgery? Yes, I've had a few of them actually. 6. If you could only compare the novels of Cormac McCarthy to one kind of garbage, what would it be? So, you know, I haven't really read any Cormac McCarthy, but apparently the author of the tag, Mr. Donahue, has some issues with Mr. McCarthy. But yeah, I've come across his novels a time or two, but I've never picked any up. 7. Who would be your dream casting for Superman? So for that, maybe Matt Bomer. Yeah, I think he'd make a good Superman. Also, I think James Marsden would make an interesting Superman as well. Number 8. What's the greatest amount of physical pain you've ever been in? Well, for that one, I'm going to go with the time that I tripped on a sidewalk, a crack in a sidewalk in Mexico, and broke my foot. And no, there wasn't any tequila involved in that. Actually, it wasn't a crack in the sidewalk. The sidewalk just kind of disappeared, and there was a big indentation, and I stepped in it in the dark and broke my foot. Also, I had a gallbladder attack that was also pretty painful. Question 9. Do you believe in a god or gods? You know, I'm not really sure of that one. I tend to waffle back and forth. But I would say that I do believe in some sort of higher power or ultimate source, I guess. Though ask me tomorrow, and my answer could be different. Number 10, I think. Have you ever been good and properly drunk? Yes, many times. Not so much these days, though. I'm more of a teetotaler nowadays, though I will have a wine or two with dinner, and sometimes a Manhattan or two as well. To the best of your knowledge, what's the closest you've ever come to death? You know, for that one, I'm going to go with the time that I was carjacked at knife point. You know, you've never known adrenaline when you had a knife pressed to your throat by a stranger. But yeah, that was pretty scary. But thanks to a hidden set of car keys, I got out of that mess. And maybe someday I'll tell the story on BookTube. Number 12. What Star Trek character would the person who knows you best compare you to? For that one, I'm going to go with Data. In fact, that was one of my nicknames at one of my former jobs. I was an IT guy at the time, specifically a database programmer. So several of my coworkers nicknamed me Data, and it kind of stuck. So I thought it was kind of cute too, so I didn't mind. 13, have you ever had your life radically changed by a book? So for that one, there's a couple books that come to mind. The One Thing by Gary Keller. Now, this caused me to completely change the way that I look at work. And there's a couple other books that come to mind as well. There's Deep Work by Cal Newport. That's another one that caused me to reevaluate my work process. And there's a couple others as well, such as The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, one of my favorite books, nonfiction books. And Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Kind of works back to that previous question in regards to a belief in a God or gods. Oh wait, there's one more book also, Choose Yourself by James Altucher. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This really encouraged me to go out on my own without waving my hand, hoping that others will choose me. And I would probably say that this book was really life-changing. It gave me the courage to, like I said, go out on my own and not hope that others will choose me. I was so over this getting chosen by others, but yeah, I ramble. So, 14, is there a universally beloved classic you simply don't like? You know, for that, I'm going to go with The Lord of the Flies by William Golding. You know, I hated it when I first read it in high school, and I tried rereading it a couple of years ago, and I ended up DNFing it. It's just not the book for me. And next question. Is there what is your dream profession? So for that, I'm going to go with being a university professor. I loved teaching, and sometimes I regret that I didn't follow this path. Though I did teach French at university level for a couple of years. But I never went on to get my PhD, which was one of my original plans. But circumstances just didn't work out that way. And also, I always wanted to be a concert musician as well. Next question. Is there an entire genre of reading you're bugged that you haven't fully explored? So for that, I'm probably going to go with high fantasy. You know, I've only recently delved into it, and so I have a lot of catching up to do. Also, and maybe science fiction as well. I've been out of touch with that as well for many years, and I'm just getting back into it. So there's a huge gap. Well, same with fantasy, actually. I used to read fantasy and science fiction, especially sword and sorcery, when I was a kid. And then I didn't read it for many years until probably about 3-4 years ago, I started getting back into it again. So with fantasy and science fiction, there's a huge gap in my reading. So all the books that were published during this time, I have yet to discover. When you people watch, what's the main thing that you notice? Their butts, of course. Just kidding. I actually notice whether or not they have a phone glued to their ears. It's a fun game to play of all the people, what percentage of people are on the phone. But you know, apart from the phone thing, nothing really specific. I do enjoy people watching, you know. Seeing what people are wearing is always kind of interesting too. Bearing the unforeseeable, what's the most likely way you'll die? You know, probably a heart attack. Have you ever visited any of the world, ancient or modern? And here he lists a whole bunch of wonders of the world here. Great Pyramid of Giza, the Colosseum, Statue of Zeus at Olympia, the Colosseum, Taj Mahal, and you know, I hate to say it, but I haven't seen any of it. Damn, I didn't realize how sheltered of a life I've lived. Next question is, what are your main superpowers? So for that one, I'm going to go with intense focus, I'd say. Focus to the point where I don't realize 5 hours has just passed. I can also figure out software really quickly. I can look at a piece of software and pretty much figure it out in a short amount of time. And I guess this comes from years of being a software trader and a computer programmer. Have you ever met any famous people? Yes, I've met Phyllis Diller, Charles Nelson Riley, Richard Thomas, And Charlie Sheen, I actually met Charlie Sheen at a local festival, German Fest actually, and I shook his hand. In addition, I've met tons of famous authors, most recently Alice Hoffman. Next question, have you ever slept out of doors? Yes, I enjoy camping, so I've done quite a bit of tent camping, but I don't think I've slept outside all night without a tent though. I've always slept inside of a tent. Although there were some high school parties at the beach where we might have just slept out passed out on the beach. So yeah, there's that. Next question. Would you make a good parent? Or if you're already a parent, how much do your children hate you? I think I'd make a good parent. I'm pretty patient with kids, and I actually used to teach kids as well. But alas, I do not have any children. I don't even have fur babies. Though I am thinking about getting a cat. We'll see. If I do, I'll have it guest star in one of my videos. Next question. This is number 24 already. New Kids on the Block or Backstreet Boys? Who? Just kidding, I know who they are. I'd probably go with Backstreet Boys. I actually have some of their music, though I haven't listened to them in a long, long time. Question 25 is the finish line. Have you ever been on stage in front of an audience? Yes, I've actually been in several plays in high school and in college actually. And I was also a wedding officiant for many years. So that's kind of like being on stage, especially when you're doing a wedding for 300-400 people. I was also a university French teacher, as I already mentioned, and from time to time I had to speak to an auditorium full of incoming teachers, so I'm pretty comfortable with speaking in public. Though, still not so comfortable speaking in front of a camera. For some reason, that just gets me nervous. And I don't know how much it shows, but yeah. I'm getting better though. I think I'm getting more comfortable. 26, at the moment, what's your favorite non-booktube YouTube channel? So I'd probably go with Peter McKinnon's channel. He's a pretty famous photographer and videographer. And I also watch a couple of tech channels like Linus Tech Tips, Austin Evans, and Dottotech. 27, have you ever passed out while sober? No, but I've come close several times. I used to have dizzy spills where the floor would just rise up, but I don't think I've ever actually passed out. Pretty darn close though. And the last question is, how strong are you physically, intellectually, emotionally? I don't know. Physically, probably not so much. I think I do okay intellectually and emotionally. And that is it for the questions. So if you haven't done this tag, and I think a lot of you have, it's been around for a while, but give it a go and let me know in the comments if you decide to do it, and I'll check out your video. And I'll put a link to the video down below, as well as list all the questions for this tag. And that about does it. If you liked this video, please click the like button below, as that really helps my channel out. And I will talk to you all in the next video. Roger and out.